You can feel it happening before the words even leave your mouth. Someone asks you for something, a favor, your time, your energy. And inside your chest, there's this immediate knowing. You don't want to do this. You don't have the capacity. You're already stretched too thin. But when you open your mouth, what comes out is yes. And the second you say it, you feel that sinking sensation in your stomach, that quiet rage at yourself for doing it again. You've read the articles. You know about boundaries. You've promised yourself 100 times that next time will be different, but it never is. Because this isn't about lacking information. This isn't about not knowing how to say no. You know how? The word exists in your vocabulary. What's happening is something much deeper than a skills deficit. Your brain has learned through years of conditioning that saying no is not a neutral act. It is a threat. And today, we're going to map out exactly what's happening in your nervous system in those seconds before you abandon yourself. Because you are not weak. You are not a pushover. You are someone whose survival system learned a very specific lesson a long time ago. Your safety depends on other people's approval. And until you understand that, no boundary script will ever work. The approval dependency circuit. Here's what most advice about boundaries gets wrong. They tell you to practice saying no in the mirror. They give you scripts, but they don't address the real issue. Your brain has linked saying no to existential danger. Neuroscientists call this the approval dependency circuit, and it's hardwired in a specific part of your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex. This is the region that monitors social pain, the same area that lights up when you experience physical pain. When you imagine saying no to someone, especially someone whose opinion matters to you, your brain runs a rapid simulation. It predicts what will happen next. And if your history has taught you that disapproval leads to rejection, and rejection leads to isolation, and isolation feels like death, your nervous system will do anything to avoid that outcome. So it overrides your conscious intention. It floods you with anxiety. It creates this unbearable discomfort that only goes away when you say yes. You think you're being accommodating or kind, but what's really happening is your brain is completing a safety protocol. It's protecting you from what it perceives as a survival threat, even though consciously you know that saying no won't actually kill you. The conditional love imprint. Most people who can't say no grew up in an environment where love was conditional, not necessarily in an obvious way. Your parents might have loved you deeply, but somewhere in your childhood, you absorbed a message. Your value is tied to your usefulness. Maybe you were praised when you helped, but ignored when you didn't. Maybe you learned that the only way to keep peace in the house was to anticipate everyone's needs and meet them before they were even asked. Maybe you watched a parent or a caregiver give endlessly to others while neglecting themselves, and you learned that self-sacrifice equals goodness. Psychologists call this the conditional love imprint, and it creates a very specific belief system. I am only worthy of love when I am useful. I am only safe when I am needed. I am only allowed to exist if I don't inconvenience anyone. That belief is not a conscious thought you have every day. It's a program running silently beneath your awareness, making decisions for you. And every time you say yes when you mean no, you're not just avoiding conflict. You're reinforcing a decades-old survival strategy that says your existence is conditional on your availability to others. The rejection sensitivity override. Let me show you what happens in your brain in real time when someone makes a request. The moment they ask, your nervous system performs what neuroscientists call a threat assessment scan. It's asking, if I say no, what happens? And if you have high rejection sensitivity, which most people pleasers do, your brain doesn't calculate the actual risk. It calculates the worst case scenario. You don't just imagine them being disappointed. You imagine them hating you, abandoning you, telling other people you're selfish. Your entire social world collapsing because of this one boundary. This is called catastrophic prediction bias, and it happens in milliseconds. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, doesn't even get a chance to weigh in. By the time it does, your amygdala has already sounded the alarm, and your mouth has already said yes. This is why trying harder doesn't work. This is why knowledge alone doesn't fix it. You're not operating from the thinking part of your brain. You're operating from the part that believes saying no might actually end your life. And until you address that belief at the nervous system level, you'll keep overriding your own needs to keep other people comfortable. The resentment build-up cycle. Here's the part nobody talks about. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're not just giving away your time or energy. You're creating a debt that you'll eventually have to collect, and that debt shows up as resentment. At first, it's quiet. You do the favor, you show up, you help. And consciously, you might even feel good about it. But unconsciously, there's a ledger. Your brain is keeping track. You helped them, so they owe you. You sacrificed, so they should notice. And when they don't, when they take your yes for granted or ask for more, without acknowledging what you've already given, the resentment starts to burn. You start feeling bitter, angry, taken advantage of. And here's the twist. You blame them. You think they're the problem, that they're selfish or inconsiderate. But the truth is, they're just responding to the information you gave them. You said yes, you smiled. You made it look easy. They have no idea you're dying inside. This is the resentment buildup cycle, and it's the hidden cost of never saying no. You think you're preserving the relationship by accommodating, but you're actually poisoning it, because eventually the resentment becomes so heavy that you either explode or you disappear. And either way, the relationship ends, not because you set a boundary, but because you didn't. The Fawn Response framework. If you've heard of fight, flight, or freeze, you need to know about the fourth trauma response, Fawn. This is the response that activates when fighting back isn't safe, running away isn't possible, and freezing won't protect you. So instead, you become whatever the other person needs you to be. You appease, you accommodate, you prioritize their comfort over your own safety. And for many people, this became the primary survival strategy in childhood. If a parent was unpredictable, you learned to read the room and adjust yourself to keep them calm. If conflict in your home felt dangerous, you learned that your role was to smooth things over to keep everyone happy. The Fawn response isn't weakness. It's an intelligent adaptation to an environment where your needs didn't matter as much as maintaining relational stability. But here's what happens when you carry that response into adulthood. You keep fawning even when there's no threat. You keep saying yes even when the person asking isn't dangerous, isn't volatile, and would actually respect your no. Your nervous system doesn't know that. It's still operating like every request is a test of your loyalty. Every boundary is a risk of abandonment. So you fawn automatically, reflexively, even when it's destroying you. The reclamation process. So how do you break this? How do you start saying no when your entire nervous system is wired to say yes? The first step is not what you think. It's not practicing the word no. It's learning to tolerate the discomfort that comes after you say it. Because here's what will happen. You'll say no, and your body will scream at you that you made a mistake. Your heart will race. Your stomach will drop. Your brain will flood you with images of the other person hating you. This is your nervous system, running its old program trying to pull you back to safety. But you have to stay in the discomfort long enough to prove to your brain that nothing catastrophic happens. That person might be disappointed. Yes, they might even be annoyed. But they don't abandon you. They don't destroy you. And slowly, over time, your nervous system starts to learn. Saying no is not a death sentence. The second step is to reconnect with your anger. Not rage, not aggression, but the healthy anger that says this is not okay. Most people who struggle with boundaries have suppressed their anger for so long they don't even feel it anymore. But anger is the emotion that protects your limits. It's the one that says, I matter too. Start noticing when you feel that quiet anger rising, and instead of pushing it down, let it inform you. Let it show you where your boundaries have been violated. That anger is not your enemy. It's your inner alarm system trying to guide you back to yourself, the permission you've been waiting for. Here's what I need you to hear. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. You are not required to sacrifice yourself to keep others comfortable. And the people who truly love you, the ones worth keeping in your life, will not abandon you for having limits. They will respect you more for it. The version of you that says yes to everything is not the most lovable version. It's the most exhausted version. It's the version that's running on fumes, giving from an empty well. Hoping that if you just give enough, you'll finally be enough, but you already are. You don't have to earn your place in people's lives by being endlessly available. You don't have to prove your worth by never having needs. The word no is not selfish. It's not mean. It's not a rejection of the other person. It's a declaration that you exist too, that your time, your energy, your peace matters just as much as theirs. And the moment you start treating your no as sacred, as non-negotiable, you'll notice something shift. The people who were only around because you always said yes will fade. And the people who actually see you, who value you for who you are and not just what you do, will stay. And that's when you'll realize boundaries don't push love away. They reveal who was never really there in the first place.